Hello my beautiful hammerheads and welcome to the first of hopefully many lore videos. In this series I want you to accompany me and discover the many overlooked and forgotten stories of the mortal realms. Now come and join me and look out from the etheric void. In this video we will discover the nature of a possible big plot point and hopefully a big character in the future of the mortal realms in Age of Sigmar. Before we begin, this is your spoiler warning, as the information I will present you is taken from the entirety of the Age of Sigmar universe and the novel Warcry Catacombs Blood of the Everchosen, written by the amazing author Richard Strachan. And I do recommend that you read at least this novel for yourself. Now, let's dive in. Somewhere in the All Points, the realm in the center of all the 8 mortal realms together, there is a place called the Bloodwind Spoils. There rages an apocalyptic storm in the settlement named Spite, a place in which mutants and scavengers are fighting over meager resources. Here lies Ilthis, dying, giving birth to a very special child, a boy. Blood raining, red thunder crashing. Ill omens are congregating to witness this once-in-an-age event, as the child had to be cut out of the mother, only 8 months into the pregnancy. Born in a cradle of blood, a shadow of the 8-pointed star, masking its face for a brief moment. The settlement wants to burn the child as an offering to the real gods, as the customs of the people demanded to sacrifice every newborn child on this day, the day of baleful storms. So the man named Ankard, let's just call him the Guardian, picked it up and ran away. Hunting both of them down are groups of cultists of untamed beasts under the command of Burek the Bloodseer. In a vision he saw the downfall of the Varenspire if the child is allowed to live. So he has to skin the child in a specific temple to avoid this future. Scions of the Flame, led by Lord Rakaros, the blazing lord who wants to burn the child alive as a sacrifice to Archaon. And the Splintered Fang, driven by the desire to protect the child by their leader Ashrath Silenthis. All of these cults receive visions of one kind or another. Interpretation, however, is still done by their priests or other semi-religious figures. All of them, from different parts of the 8 points, are driven by their desire to gain the favor of Archaon Everchosen, the three-eyed king. On the edge between life and death, the Guardian barely keeps the child alive with milk and blood from the surrounding but rare wildlife. And while praying to the true gods, he names the boy Aetheric. The Guardian, once known as Terror of the March, a moniker no one can remember where it came from, is now a peaceful man. After meeting his lover Ilthis, his lifestyle changed drastically, as both of them craved a more serene life without the need of endless blood and plunder. As far as peaceful goes in the 8 points, our unlikely duo has to fight off 2 pursuers of the Guardian's old tribe. To protect the child and keep him out of harm's way, the Guardian leaves him somewhere safe. However, the child is being surrounded by 3 Raptorics. Met with certain doom, the child starts crying out in amusement. The 3 Raptorics suddenly turn around and leave the child where it lies. A guaranteed meal, left because of fear. Fear of the darkness in the shape of an 8-pointed star radiating from the child. Meanwhile, the cultists find different ways on how to deal with their own hardships and are planning on what to do with the child. Like finding a food source for the child to survive the journey to the sacrificial temple. The Scions of the Flame were the ones to procure a wet nurse in a village they raided. Again, the Guardian feeds the child a mixture of blood, water and milk, which he found in a dead prowler, uncertain if the brew would kill the child. However, there is a reason why some cultists call the child a god. There is strength in it as well as purpose. Slowly, the child opens his eyes, dark green eyes with a malign sentience behind it. It doesn't just look around, it sees. Pondering on where to run, the Guardian reflects on the child as he is not the father, and he doesn't know who or what the father is. The Guardian knew his lover Ilthis as a composed woman. However, one day she became unusually withdrawn, listless and prone to directionless rages, muttering in her sleep of strange voices and visions, which she couldn't recall in her waking hours. Walking out into the desert, staring at the spire in the center of the 8 points, she got lost in a sandstorm, and as the Guardian went out to find her, he discovered Ilthis lying on the ground, half covered in the sand, and to his shock, fully pregnant, like she went through multiple months in an instant overnight. There are rumors that the Bloodwind spoils were prone to mutate children in the bellies of their mothers, and only a quick sacrifice to the true gods would be a mercy, as they were foul, aborted half-things. But as we know, this child is something special, marked for a certain greatness. Just as the Guardian runs out of food for the child, the Scions of the Flame caught up to him and stabbed him. However, Lord Rakaros wants both of them alive. Dying, however, the Guardian begs the true gods to spare Aetheric's life, but the last thing he sees is darkness. At dusk, the Scions of the Flame, still believing that Ankart, the Guardian, is the father, burned him alive. You might think that the child would be distressed at the death of his guardian. However, as this is no ordinary child, Ankart's death screams were basically a lullaby for him, and he fell asleep in the arms of the wet nurse. On their travels with the child, the infernal priest keeps the hopes of the wet nurse up by giving her a knife. A clever ploy to give her something to grab on and not give in to despair, as the survival of Aetheric has the utmost priority. However, the first signs that our 3 bands of cultists are not the only ones looking for the child appears, as the Scions of the Flame capture 3 members of the Iron Golems and question them on their purpose. They want to armor the child, to prepare it for all the wars to come in the future. The Splintered Fang cultists ambush the new carriers of the child. The 2 warbands fight one another, and the wet nurse is nowhere to be found. But something else found them. The Stormcast Eternals. The warriors of Sigmar, in their pale cream armor, strike like lightning and kill every cultist who dare to oppose them. So not only the warbands of the 8 points were looking for the child, but Sigmar as well. But what is the intention of the God King for seeking out the child? That we will learn later in the story of the child. Meanwhile, the wet nurse is running for her life, clutching the child to her chest. Dreaming of escaping this whole ordeal, dreaming of raising the boy. Raising him to be strong enough to defend himself and her. However, that future will not come. The fight catches up to her, With the most precious thing in the 8 points in her arms, it was just a matter of time. She is saved by the Stormcast Eternals and manages to use the new distraction to run away again. But down the road, the infernal priest in his foresight waits for her. In a quick betrayal, she manages to kill him with the knife he gave her earlier. She and the boy are free. Or so she thought. The untamed beasts, like the expert hunters they are, laid a trap for the wet nurse and managed to capture and kill her. So the boy switches hands again to Burek. After the fight, the Stormcast Eternals, vanguard hunters from the storm host of the Tempered Blade, are discussing how to execute their plan. They need to acquire the child before it reaches the sacrificial temple. There, again, we have proof that there is more to the child than we thought. At first, we just presumed that he was somehow special and that he might have connections to the Everchosen. However, now with more warbands following the trail of the child and even Sigmar's gaze is upon it, we have every right to believe that the boy is the son of the Three-Eyed King. Running away, Burek cradles the child in his arms, sacrificing his packmates to the Stormcast Eternals to slow down their pursuit. With his goal in sight, he wonders what cult the child would favor. Ultimately, it will not matter, as Burek is going to sacrifice it to the true gods. The temple, an old and forgotten ruin from the Age of Myth, lies in a catacomb in the shadows of the Varanspire. But yet again, as another one carries the child to its destiny, a shadow marks its face. This time, a shadow in the form of a laughing face. In a dreamlike vision, Burek sees the altar in the temple. There lies the child, crying. Even though it is a dream, the boy, despite his age, stands up and starts walking toward him. A third eye opens his forehead and stares at Burek. Still walking towards him, the child's mouth's distant, showing a row of fangs, and peeling away the very being of the untamed beast and snapping him awake. Feeding the child blood and oats, the boy should have been dead for a long while. However, something keeps it alive. All the while, rumors started spreading about a boy who will challenge the Everchosen himself. Even the lowest of the low heard it. Some cannibals in the middle of nowhere know of the child of Archaon. Slowly but surely, the warbands discover that the sacrificial temple is, in truth, a stormward. And like with every other stormward, there is, of course, something valuable and dangerous hidden in it. All of this is obscured by a penumbral engine, a device made by the god Teclis and tampered with by Sigmar to alter its original purpose. We learn that there is something hidden beneath the altar on which the child is supposed to be sacrificed or saved. As Burek steps towards the altar, the remaining Stormcast Eternals catch up to them and start butchering the untamed beasts. All hell breaks loose, and the surviving untamed beasts prevail against the Stormcasts. After all his trials, battles and visions, Burek's life came to this point. The child's life on knife's edge. However, lying on the altar, the boy is strangely calm. Remembering his dream of the child and the altar, Burek hesitates for a moment. This hesitation costs him everything, as Lord Rakaros appears in the Stormward and challenges him. All the while in the shadows, Ashrath is slithering around and spectating the whole mess of a fight. Seeing the arcane energies around the altar as if it is sucking the essence out of the child. Watching how Lord Rakaros and Burak kill each other in front of the child. The boy crying, whether it is in fright or in enjoyment, we will never know. With the death of the two combatants, the boy, splattered with blood, stops crying. Ashrath picks him up. Archaon's heir, the Prince of Ruin. Lord Rakaros, in his dying breath, denies the heritage of the boy. But Ashrath, with the boy in his arms, kills Rakaros and walks out of the Stormwald. Outside, Ashrath is being shot. The child, yet again, switching hands. The warband of unknown members turns away from the Warren Spire. Archaon is apparently campaigning, and they assume that he has no interest in the child. So they make their way to Karngrad. This is the last known place of the child. We can only speculate what will happen in the future of the child, the 8 points and the Everchosen. So what do you think? Is the child, this boy named Aetheric, the blood of the Everchosen, the heir to Archaon? For me, I can only hope that this will be the beginning of another great character to come in the future of the mortal realms. The great factions each need someone to challenge their rule from within. Chaos, in this instance, only has Archaon. The first Prince Be'lakor is a player who pulls the strings in the background and did some great things. However, he is, and ever will, play the second violin in the orchestra of chaos, cursed and doomed to be the unfavored first prince. That said, over the course of his travels, a shadow lies upon the face of the boy, usually depicted as the 8-pointed star of chaos. On one occasion, however, the shadow has the form of a laughing face. That wouldn't be the first time in which Be'lakor appears as a shadow and, as I've said before, pulls his strings in the background. But we could go even further and put on our tinfoil hats. All of this could have been a ploy by someone else entirely. Someone who isn't really a part of our common story as far as we know right now. I speak, of course, of the Shadow King Malarion, the ruler of Ulgu, son of the High Oracle of Cain and Shadow Queen Morathi, master of deception. You see, there are similarities to Be'lakor. This is a common theme in the mortal realms, that not only one being holds a title over one aspect. We had this theory back in the Broken Realm saga, with some short stories and the books in which a shadowy character was in the background, and many people, myself included, believed it to be Malarion, but in fact, as we now know, was Be'lakor. As far as we know, Malarion right now and in his former incarnation in the old world, Malekith, is a ruthless being. But why would he go to such lengths to use a baby to stir up the 8 points? He could use the boy to bring down the greatest champion of chaos, the Everchosen himself. Or it could be that the boy is going to be a part of his cohort. We don't know the future of the child, but we do know that Malarion's goals are hidden behind a veil of fog, mist and deception. Maybe he was looking for the Stormwald, we don't know. Malarion could be a chaos god at this point, as he has shadow demons under his rule, but I don't think this could be true. It would be great to see shadow demons on the side of order. So, could this be really Malarion? That is a good question, and we should not take this hypothesis as a certainty. It still could be someone else entirely. But what do you think? Who is the boy Aetheric? Who is the father? And who has the most to gain from this new pawn in the 8 points? Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. I am keen to know what you have to say. And while you're down there, do all the YouTube stuff, because hitting buttons is fun. If you want to support the channel and you don't know what to say, just write Archaon in the comment section. So thank you so much for watching. Please have a great day, stay fantastic, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!